Hello everyone, welcome to our video where we would, in this video, we are going to create our register activity. So I'm going to go to my code section. I've changed from constraint layout to using a linear layout, and then I've added an orientation of a vertical. In my design section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my form now. So what do I need? Well, I need a text view to display things. But the required fields I would want to store in the database is I would like to have a full name from the user. I would like to get an email address from the user. I would like a password also from the user. I'm just using the normal plain text for now. If you want to use the password or email text, edit text field, you can, but for this purpose. And then I also want a date of birth from the user. I also would like a phone number also from the user. And I also would like, let's say, a bit of information from the user. Okay, so this tutorial, you can see here that we've created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 6 edit texts, and we have a text view. Now, each of them needs an ID. Now, Android Studio is highlighting to me that maybe the size is too small, so I'm going to click on fixed for all of them. Thank you, Android Studio. I'll just let it fix it for me, or I can ignore it if it's false. It's just giving me a bit of hint that it might be too small, but let's not upset Android Studio now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be given each and every single one of these components here. I'm going to be giving them an ID. I'm going to do that in the code section in this part of the tutorial. So what I'm going to do is this is going to be the email address. So edit text, email address, reg, and then we can say email address. Remember, we don't want text. We want to make it a hint so that when the user starts typing the email, it doesn't start off with email address. Okay, so again, I'm going to do the same thing for EDT. I think the first one is meant to be a full name, actually. So I'll just copy and just put it here, just for convention. Password, full name, and then hint is going to be full name, and the next one is EDT, and we're going to have a password, reg. Usually you would have 2 password boxes, one for confirm, one for password, so you can check them against each other, but I'm not going to be doing that in this tutorial, but it's just a hint for you. So ETDOB, let's say date of birth, and then these are hints. So let's pass in the password. Let's do hint here again. And then I think we have EDT, phone number. And then let's say we have hint, and then we'll have phone number. And then we'll have EDT, and then we'll have bio. And then let's say we have bio, and then change that into a hint. So if I go back to my design side of the code, I'll be able to see exactly what it looks like. So this way it looks like. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a button to it. So I'm going to add 2 buttons. So one button here is for, let's click on buttons. One button would be for when the user has finished all these fields, click on register. And another button will take us to the login page. So similar to what we did for the previous activity. Again, it's telling me, okay, fix it for us. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my code, and then I'm going to change the ID. So BTN, I want to call this register reg, and then I'll say register. And then again, I'm going to say BTN. I'm going to say login reg, and I'm going to say login. So this here is just a simple design that we have created form to allow a user to enter the details that we require from them. Another thing I'm going to do is the text view. I'm going to change the ID to text view display info reg, and then it's going to say nothing. Android Studio might tell me, oh, there's nothing there, but it's fine. I'm gonna ignore it. Okay, so this is our simple design that we have just created. So if I now run our app again, just so that we'll be able to see exactly what it does. For this tutorial, what I'm going to end on is we'll end on by creating a button. We will now do the same thing that we did for the login to allow users to be able to, when they click on the red login button, it will take them back to the activity page. So while my emulator is applying its changes, I'll do this now. So it's actually done it. If you look here, we've got full name, email address, password, date of birth, phone number, and bio. So what I'm going to do at this stage is, again, I'm going to follow the same convention as we did in the login activity. We're just going to create, we're just going to find our components, and then we're going to let that login button go back to our login activity. So to do that, again, I'm going to create my edit texts. So edit text variables or object. Let's say EDT, EDT. Let's do email address reg, and then EDT full name. I believe, was it called full name reg, or was it just called full name? Just called full name. Should we add reg to it? Let's just add reg to it, because the rest of them all have reg. So full name reg, EDT password reg, EDT. Let me just make the screen a bit more. Yeah. So EDT. I believe the next one is DOB, EDT phone number, EDT bio. You don't have to have the same name. This here at this moment, it has no relation to the activity register. I only keep the names the same, just so that when I look through my code, I would know that, oh, okay, this will refers to this, refers to this. But you can give the name of this completely different. So now when I come to my onCreate method, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to find all my components or my views. So let's say EDT email address equals find view by ID r.id, and then let's say we say EDT email address reg. Again, I'm going to repeat the same step. The full name reg equals find view by ID. What I'm actually going to do, okay, let's just write it, because sometimes I feel like when I write it stays in my fingers. I don't know why, but it does. It helps me to remember when I type it. So full name, and let's say password reg, find view by ID r.id, edit EDT password reg, EDT date of birth equals find view by ID r. I'm sure we had a date of birth. Okay, EDT DOB here, and then EDT phone number equals find view by ID r.id, EDT phone number, and then EDT bio equals find view by ID r.id.edt.bio, and then cool. So now we have to find our buttons. So I'm going to create button btn login reg btn register reg. Oh, I think we have to import our button. I just realized the phone numbers, we didn't add reg to it and the date of birth. So what I'm going to do is, because I want it to be the same, I'm going to add reg to them just so that they're all the same. If you're doing it, you might as well follow a pattern. So let's just add reg to it. You don't have to do it this way, but I prefer to do it that way because it will help me to remember. And then when I look back at the code. So currently we have EDT email address, full name, password, DOB, phone number, and EDT bio. But remember that we also had a text view. So I'm just going to create text view. And then txt display info reg. And then I'm just going to find that as well. txt display info reg, find view by ID, r.id.txt display info reg. Beautiful. And then again, we have to do the same thing for the buttons. Button login reg equals find view by ID, r.id, button login reg, btn register reg equals find view by ID, r.id dot button register reg. Beautiful. So now that we've found all our components, now we can code them, we can add a bit of functionalities to them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make our login button take us back to our main activity, which has our login form. So to do that, btn register reg dot set on click listener, and the new view on click listener. So we're saying is that when we click on the button, we want you to do this. What I'm going to do is create an intent I equals new intent. And then I'm going to import my intent class because it didn't do it for me. And then what I'm going to specify is where I am currently. I am currently at the register class. And then where am I going to go to? I'm going to go to my main activity dot class. And then I'm going to start activity and then pass in the I. So when I click on my button register reg, it should take me back to my previous screen. So let's just run our application again. So this has just been a normal tutorial. What we've just done is just created a layout for our register form. And then we've talked about intents, where we've created an intent, which will take me from the current context that I'm currently working at to another activity. So this has just been a simple tutorial. Just wait for it to load. Once it applies the changes, then we'll be able to run it and we'll be able to see what we're saying. I have to run it again. So I have to reinstall and restart the app usually, because obviously you've added something completely new that it didn't know about. It wasn't any small changes. So it's going to restart my app again. Don't show this reminder. Got it. Okay, beautiful. So it's loaded again. And then once it finished loading, you'll see that this is our normal app. This is the proof from the previous tutorial. If you click on register, it goes to the register activity. If I click on login, okay. So what I should have done was should have made it button login reg. So right now, if we click on the register will rather take us back, but that's not what we want. We want the login button. So all I have to do is just change it from button register reg to button login register. So if you've done that, you can do the same thing. Let me just run the app again. So all I did wrong was, rather than doing button register reg, I rather did button rather than doing button login reg, I rather did button register reg. So if you've been following this tutorial, just change it to button login reg, because that's the button that we want it to go back to the previous page. So let's try that again and see if it works. So if I click on register, it takes me to the register activity. If I click on the login, it takes me back to the login page. So congratulations, you have successfully been able to go from one activity to the other and to go back. In the next video, we'll actually be working on the registration form of how we can actually register a user. The reason why we're working from that part first is because if we haven't got anybody in our database, how can we allow somebody to register? So I will see you in the next video.